Hey yo, what's up? You know who it is? It's the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And of course, I'd like to welcome you guys back to another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks on, and yo, Uchu Sentai Kyuranger, Space.8, and yo, we are live and in the building. And this right here, this was an interesting episode, not for the reasons that is interesting, but for the reasons that is interesting. It'll make sense in the end, what I just said, trust me. Because, see, this episode is what I like to call the low-stakes rebellion episode. Because there's always an episode in the Sentai season early on where you learn the backstory of a character via them rebelling against whatever the hell's going on. And this was this episode, but surprisingly enough, it was who the episode put the spotlight on, which kind of surprised me, and that character was Spada. Because I'm like, I didn't really see him as the character who would be that defined, but any hero that's worth their anything always has something that sits up her and pushed them to the edge. And it was people starving, because we learned in the episode that's the kind of life he came from. He learned how to cook and wanted to be the best chef in the universe because of all the struggles he went through with his family, because dark matter took his hood over. So it's like the episode pushed that narrative, and it made sense in a way for not only the character, but to lead into our other plot with our commander Ronbou, because he done been legit shook since Igakin and Madarko showed up. He done been legit shook. Our commander Ronbou done been legit shook since those two show up. And it's like, it's been in the back of my head, and I didn't really talk about it because I felt that at some point an episode would come up where it would give us answers near the end of the arc where it made sense. Because of what happened ultimately at the end was something that I also saw coming, was he turned into, what is that? Draco Violet. So, Draco Violet, actually, but you knew it was coming. I just didn't think it was going to come this soon. But the thing that I do appreciate was the show pushed that event in a way to get Igakin and Madarko super over. The show's pushing them hard as legit threats. So much of a legit threat, the commander got to step off the ship and turn into a Kyuranger. That's how desperate this is. It's like you got Chance, Balance, and Naga on some planet trying to find a Q-timer. They over here in the cut. And it's like you had the Defiance from Spada early on, and that split the team up. And then you had Basoff Raptor, and you had Garu get their asses handled, while you had the Scorpion Prince splitting off to find that Kotaro kid. You remember him, right? He's the kid that threw rocks at dark matter with his little brother, triggered a memory of Takatoro within the Scorpion Prince, which then led into a whole bunch of stuff of that 9Q Rangers, let's push that thing over. They didn't feature this kid too much to not do something with him. And this is where I'm going with my theory, so please get your boy, is there isn't a Kyuranger from Earth yet. If they are not pushing this kid to be a Kyuranger, it's going to be something to this kid in the plot, because it's like you not finna have Scorpion Prince, shirk his responsibilities of destroying the Kasumars and doing all this to go help this kid if it didn't matter, to bring him on the ship if it didn't matter. Because we've under this, like the show established early on how a Ranger gets their Kyuranger powers. Is that something in the universe, I don't know how to say it, they feel it, right? And then it's like that galaxy thing talks to them, and then they combine powers because I see you have the power to fight the people, and you become a Kyuranger. I know that was very strange, and I was playing it up for jokes, but still, I felt that it was needed in this instance. They are going to do something with this Kotaro kid, because you don't sit up here and give a character outside the loop that much of a feature, and like I said, given how the show works, is that it's a thing that makes sense. If they don't do it, I'll be hella surprised if they don't. I'll be hella surprised if the kid don't become a Kyuranger. I'll be surprised. It's like, even if they do it like in a one-off movie, a one-off special movie, like they do in other shows, and like they do in Sentai itself, where you have a special episode where the kid get powers for this one episode because something important has happened. But I don't really think Kyuranger is that type of show. If they gonna give the kid power, he gonna have it. So that's the thing that makes sense. So this episode was a whole bunch of stuff. It's that you had Jean Ronbou straight get off the ship and like, I gotta turn in the Kyuranger because my squad getting lit up. Now, let's just say, for the record, let's just say this, okay? There has never been a better commander get in the field except when Doggy Kruger did the work. It's like Sentai has yet to top this, where Commander gets pissed off so bad. Well, in Doggy Kruger's instance, it was a whole different situation. But ain't no Commander didn't walked off of somewhere and didn't put in more work than one Doggy Kruger. So I am establishing that now because I don't want to hear the comments later. But it was cool how it was like Jean Ronbou was sitting back the whole episode and he going back and forth with Spotter. Don't do this, don't do that. Well, I'm gonna do this anyway. Food. You're not gonna do this because I'm your commander, blah, blah, blah. And they go back and forth, and then everybody's getting their asses whooped. So, you got, like I said, you got Balance, Naga, and Champ over here on some planet over finding the Q-Timer somewhere, so they out of commission. Bay Sauce and Garu getting their ass handled. Hammy gets handled, Spotter gets handled, then Lucky gets the ass whooped. So it's like, if he didn't come down, and he made that comment like, I can't lose the Kyurangers. So now, you have more questions than answers. Because, what is the commander's link with our Q current bad guys? If he's been a Kyuranger all along, then how do the Kyuranger's powers legitimately work, even though I tried to explain it? Because if he was a Kyuranger before that point, then it's more questions than answers, because the episode ended on a cliff. He went down there, handled business like a straight boss, because that's what you do when you introduce a ranger, of course, where the whole normal squad getting their ass beat. It's like that. It's science. The whole normal squad getting demolished. Here comes a new challenger, and then ass whoopings commence. I do not think that Jean Ronbou alone is going to be able to handle Igarkin and Madako. I don't think that's going to happen. They'll more likely fight to a stalemate and they'll retreat and he'll get the Kyurangers. And then the next episode will be him explaining the backstory to that, because that's the speed this show is going. Something about the Q-Timer that they went to go and get is going to have something to do with Jean Ronbou, at least at a minimum, killing one of them within the next 2 episodes. If it ain't Lucky that strikes the final blow. So you got something there. And again, we talked about the Kataro kid. If he ain't a Kyuranger by episode 15, I'll eat a hat made of nacho cheese. Well, a hat of nacho chips, because you can't make a hat of nacho cheese. It is, ill-feasible. You can't do it because liquid. You need a solid base. That solid base being a hat made of nacho chips with nacho cheese in the middle, or maybe a little salsa in the cheese, something like that. The point is, this episode was off the chain, and like I said, it was a surprising episode given the focus. Because again, like I said, you still have the rest of the Q-Rangers introduced. I just didn't think that they would give the Defiance Orders episode to Spotter. I just didn't think he was the character that would have been able to carry the episode, but yet he did. He carried the episode. We got some backstory. People got their ass beat. Commander gets off ship, handles business, and we still in the middle of the fight at the end of the episode. And they trying to push this little kid on us. See, here, hey, Japanese kids, you're going to know what it feels like now, okay? Well, technically Kiba Ranger, but see, Japanese children who will listen to this in the future, there was this kid named Justin, and every kid in America fucking hated him. You want to know why? Because he was what we wanted to be, and we hated him for it. That's still forever beef. Like, I ain't got no ill will towards the actor playing him, whoever that person he or she is. Well, he, because there's a man. But if this Kotaro kid turns into a Kyuranger, I smell the hate coming. It's like Japanese children have earned them adjusted, and this kid is it. You now know he gonna be the Kyuranger. He gonna be everything you want to be, Japanese children, and you gonna end it. So like I said, I tell anybody want to take me on the bet that this Kotaro kid is either finna be a heavy important thing on the plot or become a Kyuranger. And I see becoming a Kyuranger more likely because given how Kyuranger powers work and that the Earth doesn't have a Kyuranger represented yet. It's the thing that makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? That's called logic and breaking things down. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before in your life, but you have now. But yo, that is an episode. And I'd like to thank you for joining me for the review of this episode. I do appreciate it. Before we get out of here, the Cool caught up. We got a new installment coming out a little bit later this week. You know what I'm saying? WrestleMania stuff. If you are into wrestling, man, I reviewed it and then reviewed it again. And I'm gonna do something for the Raw SmackDown after, man, to just review to see where they gonna push forward, who came up from NXT, who returning, and all that good stuff, and all the usual crack we always serve and deliver. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get up out of here. You know who it is. It's the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And I'd like to thank you for joining me for another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And with that, start changing!